Charlie Baker and Perry Groves with you through until 4 o'clock. After us is Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. Now, England play the 5th Test this week in Dharamsala, and it's a bit of a dead rubber, but here to make us feel like it's not a dead rubber is Jon Norman. Is any test a dead rubber, John?
Yeah, it is. Yes. You can't fool the talkSPORT listeners.
No, exactly.
By the way, the producer came out. I was just at my desk, just getting on with some stuff ahead of the eagerly anticipated 5th Test match, live and exclusive on talkSPORT 2. And she just came up and she went, ding dong!
Oh, okay.
You're on.
Oh, right. Well,
otherwise I would have forgotten.
Exactly.
So
you're on air now.
I am. I'm always on.
It's not a dead rubber, right? And normally it's England at the end of the Ashes, isn't it? When playing in Australia, where they've lost and they've got the dead rubber. Normally players relax and go, right, I can play and go and express myself.
Yeah.
Make no difference to England, is it? Could be exactly the same.
Do you know what? I was almost foreseeing this very conversation, albeit maybe not with you guys today, right here, right now. But I think as sports broadcasters, we forget something. And I think we forget what we were like as kids.
Yeah.
I think we forget what it is that got us into this industry. Obviously, Perry played the game. But essentially, I remember back in the day, ahead of these dead rubbers, and I was just as, keen and excited about England winning, even though they'd already lost 4-0. It's about winning.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. In some ways, as a kid watching a football match or a cricket game, when there's not so much riding on it, you kind of think, well, there's less on it now, so maybe there's less pressure, as you just said, Perry, and maybe we've got a better chance of winning. And I've seen it and come out of Ashes series. I know this isn't an Ashes series, but, in the 90s, England got absolutely pulverised, and yet we won at the Oval in 94 and, 97 or maybe 2001. Either way, I was at that game, and I absolutely loved it. And you know what? It did put gloss on the end of a really painful summer. So,
well, 3-2 sounds a lot better than 4-1.
3-2 sounds much better. I mean, Mark Butcher's Headingley heroics back in 2000 and whatever it was, that made it 3-2 to Australia. But we won the final one, so that was great. Similarly, against South Africa, there was it turned out to be a bit of a bent game, actually. But anyway, England won it. Didn't matter.
Allegedly.
No, allegedly. It was bent.
It was.
So, I think that we need to just step back a little bit and say, hang on, we're kind of looking at this through old hack eyes. It doesn't get my pulse racing, but I think it will get a lot of cricket fans' pulses racing, especially kids. But the point is this: I would say that if you are a cricket fan, you're interested regardless. I think the fact that it is 3-1 India going into the final Test match means that the part-time fan or the fan that maybe will just nip in and out and just see what's going on depending on the actual score, rather than just because they love cricket, I think it's lost that attention. And that's a shame, because just like in 2000 and I was about to say 2005 then, that's a Freudian slip, because the Ashes that we had in 2023 was so up there. Yeah. And if not for the rain at Old Trafford, we could have been talking about one of the great 5 Test series in the history of the game, and we weren't. And I think similarly with this one, if it wasn't for England shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, could have been 2-2 going to the final Test match. And in the history of 5 Test matches, there's only been 6 occasions where it's been 2-2 going into the final 5th Test. If England had managed that, then all bets are off. The interest would have been off the roof. And that's what we're losing. But that's not to say that there's not plenty to talk about and enjoy about this Test match.
Has it been impossible for England to win? Have the pitches been set to a certain standard, to a certain level for India that England couldn't have won?
Not at all. No. I really don't think they have. I think that the pitches have really surprised everybody. I think they've been very sporting. And this pitch, by the way, from what we're hearing, is an absolute belter.
Seamer, they might play an extra seamer, is that right?
Well, I think we might see Ben Stokes bowl.
Right.
He may be the extra seamer.
Right.
I'm not sure England quite know what they're doing. Robinson and Anderson played in the last Test. Anderson's played the last 2. They both had little niggles, but apparently they're back to full fitness. There might be a call to be made. Maybe Stokes will be the third seamer. Maybe they'll bring Mark Wood in. Don't know.
But you said there about obviously dead rubber, but it means a lot to individual players.
Yeah, I mean,
you're playing for England. We can talk about Johnny Bairstow, obviously huge for him.
Cricket is a team game, but
played by individuals.
Played by individuals, and that's one of the beauties of cricket. And it's quite different from other sports. You can take individual success and enjoy individual success within your team and the opposition, whilst retaining a desire, very strong desire for one team to win over the other.
One of the individuals who's been talking this week is Tom Hartley, and he's looking forward to playing alongside Nathan Lyon for Lancashire. Here he is.
It's fantastic. I think, he's such a great person to learn off, and for me, he's such a good over spin bowler, and so just trying to get as many tips on him as possible, and I can't wait, really.
Good tour for him, do you think, John?
Tom Hartley?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic tour. Leading wicket taker across both sides. Had a real breakthrough series. I mean, most people had never even seen him bowl before he played for England. And that's another really unusual thing with top-flight cricket as opposed to top-flight football and rugby, where you see these guys week in, week out, and then they play for England, and you kind of know what they're about. With England cricket, it's very different. Very often, even the coaches haven't seen them bowl before they're played, before they're selected. So yeah, he's had a fantastic time of it. It's been some tough times for sure. I suppose the big question about him and Shoaib Bashir, Rayan Ahmed to a degree as well. 3 spinners that came into this series with the combined total of 2 test matches between them. I mean, if anything can be said about Ben Stokes' captaincy, I think the fact that he's managed to make this England side competitive, when you consider these 3 guys had 2 tests between them, maybe even 1 actually. And then Ravichandran Ashwin is about to play his 100th test match for India in this test match. And then, of course, there's Ravindra Jadeja as well and Axar Patel. And Kuldeep Yadav, who's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've been competitive, when you consider the difference in the bowling attacks, I think credit to Stokesy.
And he's not bowling as well. You have to remember that about Stokes,
well,
doesn't he?
Well,
he's
exactly.
one of our best bowlers, if not our best bowler, and he's not bowling.
Exactly. And he's managed to get a tune out of that. I mean, that's phenomenal, right?
Incredible.
But the question is, when will they play for England again? Because you're not going to have 3 spinners playing against Sri Lanka and West Indies
when
in some way.
Hartley going to play for his county again? Because he said the right things there, right?
He
I get
did,
it, right?
yeah,
He said, I can learn off him. Trust me, if you asked him off the record, he'd be like, really, what, we signed another spinner? Really? That means I ain't going to play.
Yep.
So he got in this sort of test side because Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes, they get good feelings about characters and players, don't they? They looked at him and thought, we know we can get something out of you where maybe someone else hasn't seen it. But he's not going to play, is he?
That's
Learning off someone in the nets and all that, you go, okay, yeah, fine, but you need to be playing game after game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, will Lancashire go in with 1 spinner? Will they go in with 2? Is he really going to see Nathan Lyon outside? So is he going to have to go somewhere else? But then, where is he going to go? Because no counties play spinners. Well, apart from Somerset, but then they've got Shoaib Bashir and Jack Leach.
Johnny Bairstow has also been talking to us this week. Asked us he's been asked how it feels to be earning his 100th test cap for England.
It means a huge amount. It's boyhood dream stuff. It's something that when you're a young kid, you want to try and do it, but never do you actually think you're going to achieve it. So, it's been an amazing journey. It's been something that I've absolutely loved. Each part of it, the challenges that have come with every single part of the travelling, the growing up, when you're away from home, everything like that is something that I've cherished along the way.
He's had the injury, hasn't he, Bairstow? But he's been great with the bat. Maybe not this tour, but prior to this tour. Do you think this is one tour too many?
No, I don't. But I think it's very Johnny Bairstow-esque that on the occasion of his 100th Test match, we're still talking about him, whether he's going to get dropped or not. I mean, that's Bairstow, right?
100 caps of, is he going to be dropped?
Yeah. Where does he play?
Is he going to be wicketkeeper?
Is he going to be wicketkeeper? This is a guy that's been shunted around the order. He's played in just about every single position. He's been wicketkeeper. He hasn't been wicketkeeper. He's been wicketkeeper. He hasn't been wicketkeeper. He's been wicketkeeper. He hasn't been wicketkeeper. And essentially still there. He launched the Bazball era with that phenomenal run of scores against New Zealand and against India, and at his best he is he's one of the most explosive and one of the best triple format batters or wicketkeeper batters that England have got and have had. But still the questions persist about him, and they will continue to do so because of course there is a guy called Harry Brook, his Yorkshire teammate, an England teammate, who's waiting to come back into the side, and Brook will come back into that side. So, what do Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes do? What we know they don't do is they don't drop batters midway through a series. and they've only actually dropped one batter, and that's Alex Lees, the Durham opener, because they wanted Ben Duckett to come into the side. So that question and the answer to the question will be found out, but we will not find it out until England play Test cricket again, which isn't until July.
They do play this Thursday.
Live and exclusive on
talkSPORT 2. Starts at 4 o'clock in the morning.
3:30 on Thursday.
All of his family have flown over, haven't they, as well, for his 100th Test, which is really emotional.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
And he's, of course, I tell you what, if you're going to read one article, I probably shouldn't say, point you away from the news, the Times and the Sun, of course, but if you're going to read one other article about Johnny Bairstow, read Will McPherson in the Daily Telegraph. He's got an exclusive with Johnny. Obviously, everybody wants to speak to Johnny this week, and he spoke to the media today, and we've heard a little bit from him just then. But Will McPherson's article just gives everybody an understanding of where Johnny comes from in terms of the location, the geography, the history, but also the painful family dynamic that came from his father committed suicide, former England wicketkeeper, of course. So he's followed and actually gone past his dad's achievements. But it just gives you a bit of an understanding. And as you say, Perry, his wife, his partner, but his mum and his sister are ever present and have been for all of his career. talkSPORT have obviously covered a lot of England cricket overseas over the last 5 or 6 years, and his sister's always there and his mum's always there, and it's fantastic, and it just shows, you know, what having that kind of backdrop and having that kind of support
exactly, the backup definitely
is so huge, and he probably wouldn't be celebrating his 100th Test match without it.
There we are. That's Johnny Bairstow's 100th Test. talkSPORT 2 on Thursday morning, 4 o'clock, India versus England. Thanks very much for joining us, John. This is Charlie Baker.
Cheers, John.
And Perry Groves on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Get great savings with Toolstation's top 10 deals now.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.